Alright guys, welcome back. So HIMS and HERS. So let's take a look at the stock today. On Friday, stock closed at around $52-ish level. All-time highs for the stock 72. This is where I was talking about this name pretty much, saying that it could go down significantly more, or it's getting overextended, that it would not last long. But it was in February 14th, February 25th. Looks like that this is when we covered it last time. But this time around, I'm not bullish and I'm not super bearish either. There are two things I want to show you guys. One could be bearish, one could be super bullish. First of all, they reported earnings, right? So they reported pretty good earnings and stock went pretty crazy, squeeze mode, volume at crazy levels. You can see if we take a look at the last 5 trading sessions, it has traded with crazy volume that we saw on previous earnings report, where leading up to earnings, the stock was already getting ahead of itself and was trading 50%, 100% above previous reported levels. And come earnings, it was pretty much sell the news event, and stock sold off as low as $25 level. So now, from those $25 levels where we pulled back, we are right at, 50%, 100% actually, 100+% higher again. So naturally, there are some sellers that I want to show right away before we get into the technical levels and what I'm watching else. So this is volume leaders that I keep an eye on. The biggest orders were cluster of orders that came in previous time, which is like dark pool, like largest orders, where stock pretty much respects those levels at some point. If it's, let's say, if it's a selling order at a top, large orders, I just keep an eye on that price level. Will this stock, after those large orders, will it get back above that level and try to squeeze higher and higher, or if that selling price will act as a resistance? Number 4, you guys remember, I don't know if I have ever showed it, but it came in around like $70 levels where it rejected. So now in the last, let me just go take a look at last week after this rally, there are a lot of people, in my opinion, again, could be selling the stock again and putting a top right around here. Again, it could be local top, it could be, we will see. Okay, so as long as price at the moment, we're staying above, and you can see the cluster of orders where they traded somewhere around 50, 52, 51, wherever. All sorts of large orders came in, okay, which is, for me, acting as a pivotal level. I'm not going to assume that these people were selling or buying. Naturally, after stock has gone up 100%, you would expect these to be sellers. But if stock gets back above this level and gets going, I will consider it as a support, these levels. But if stock struggles and cannot get back above this level and pretty much distributes more and maybe even goes lower below 50, this is looking like a local top. Again, considering, it can pull back, maybe some sort of a pullback, consolidation, and then maybe rally again. Because if you take a look at the stock's revenue growth, this is just really crazy. Look at the double-digit growth from 2020, 80%, 93%, 65%, 2023, 2024, 70%. And if you take a look at the quarterly revenue growth, this is insane, okay? And this stock is only $11.6 billion company. So one more quarter, or if it keeps pretty much reporting these similar like EPS, revenue, in the coming 2-3 quarters maybe, shorts will get, I want to just remind CVNA, right, where a lot of people were short biased. But again, it doesn't matter what you think, right? So you have to respect the price. And same situation, like it was the most hated rally from like $3 to 50. People tried to fade to 50, came back down to 25, went to freaking 100, 95, pulled back. Again, it was having its pullbacks, but then went up as high as 293-ish, 95. It essentially went up 100 times from 2022 lows up until this moment. And HIMS, on the other hand, is pretty, retail heavy as well, right? Could look similar if they just keep reporting better earnings and stock basically hovers around these levels, doesn't get hit back down to these 200-day moving average. Maybe it just doesn't pull back too much. It can stay volatile, but as long as it stays in an uptrend, it can just keep melting. So the pivotal level right here for me, I was watching a gap fill area. So let's talk about the price levels. So this is another thing I'm watching. So it can keep squeezing. We'll take a look at the short data as well. I was watching this gap down, or from 59.5 to somewhere around here. We had a little bit of a gap. What is the level? 57-ish. I was looking this level as a possible, maybe if it tries to fill this gap and then pretty much roll over from there. But if it doesn't get back to these levels, or if it doesn't push higher, sure, I'll be watching it to the downside, but I'm watching it essentially both ways. So one way, it just goes, fills this gap, pulls back, consolidates, and then if it gets back above highest closing price 68.73, but I'm watching, I have an alert at 73. If it gets back above 73, I have no problem imagining this stock trading around like $100+ just purely based on the hate and based on the interest, volume, and all the other things that are going for the stock. So let's take a look at the, I don't know exactly the percentage of the float right now, but let's take a look at, just curious, 33 freaking percent of the float, which is share float 183 million. So it is very highly shorted stock. Okay, so that explains. So it could either be short squeeze that already happened, where people will try to fade it and it can go lower, it can pull back a little bit more before it's makes its way back up. But again, by looking at the daily shorted volumes, you can see as well total traded volume, it's been just constantly traded. Again, this is not a 100% accurate data. This is only from the exchanges that have reported this data, daily, total number of shares, short, long, where I'm seeing that mostly it was being shorted, 58%, 60% of the total volume, 62%, 59, 70%, 48. Anything in these like 40, 50, 60 ranges is very, very high. As long as it remains here, it has all the recipe to just keep melting and just keep squeezing people. Again, just like I said, it's not going to happen all overnight. Just go take a look at the Carvana's chart, where, of course, as soon as volume goes crazy and the volatility gets crazy, it will just chill and just turn into like choppiness and turn into premium killing mode. And then after pulling back, and then again after reporting earnings, essentially it will be moving, like big moves will be coming only off the earnings reports. So I know they have another thing I want to mention here. They just filed and dumped, I believe, some convertible notes. I think, what is it, 450 million or something like that, which acted a bit heavy yesterday. Were essentially, where was actually it was up on, oh wow, okay, so first time I checked it was 450. Now it says 870 million notes due to 2030. So it looks like this was the upper end of what they wanted to issue, and looks like, well, if they found buyers, sure, why not, right? So if people could have absorbed that much, And yeah, that's crazy actually. So this has acted a little bit of as a resistance and a cap right here, but you can already see the volume has been already declining. And from management side, I mean, of course, it's a growth story. They might need the money right here, right now, and that could be the case why they borrowed that money, 0%, but again, convertible into shares, which is okay, dilutive. So volume has been already declining, so you got to be careful about the implied volatility now. If you're options traders like me, you got to be careful with the range. You can just, as soon as volume goes back to normal, the options, especially if you're trading the far outside of the money calls or puts, they will decay, okay, regardless of the price action. It can basically range can get tighter and tighter. Volume can slowly go back to its norm, which is on a daily 25 million volume so far. But you can see today traded 60 million. So you gotta be keeping an eye on that. Or yeah, the options may not be the best bet in terms of trading it. Let's say swinging it. I wouldn't buy when volatility at its highest range, just purely based on its volume. I can guess that implied volatility at its highest point right here, right now, just based on the volume. So it looks like daily range is $4.31. In other terms, ATR, this is average true range, which is it essentially measures the volatility of the historic volatility of the stock. So $4 for the stock that is $52. That's a big range, okay? So this is essentially like, what, 8% intraday move? That's a lot. So you got to be careful about that one. But again, it could be pivotal area right here, just based on this volumes of sellers, I believe, that came in here. You got to be careful again. So I'm watching this stock both ways. If it cracks below 50, sure, I'll be watching the 20-day, 5-day moving averages as a possible area of support. But you can see how far it has gone up from its 50-day, which is at 30, 20-day even right around here, $34, $35 level. So 50-ish, 49, 50. This is your 5-day moving average, this gray line on my chart. So as soon as any stock actually cracks this level, I pretty much am cautious and stop being bullish. So watching this name, pretty interesting looking chart. And again, be open-minded both ways. So that's the update for HIMS and HERS. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.